So Bart Cummings, this is just after the jump. They're just about to get to the winning post for the first time. Our runners, you can see Creedence is working hard from the wide draw, and he has to work hard well into the turn, into that first turn. Sound 3 wide here from the jump and pretty much is in that spot until around about the 1300, and Jamie Carr pushes on to get a bit further forward and effectively drags the rest of the field up. Persan in a great spot, Robson also in a great spot, and he kind of left that gap for pretty much the entire time and is in a perfect position right up until the 900 when his race changes completely, just given what Brett Preble decided to do. And then Supergirl at the back here just had to be dragged back from the wide draw, which probably in the end cost her. She does actually run pretty well, and we'll have a look at that a little bit further on. But if we have a look here past the post, Creedence still working really hard, and you'll see even well into the turn, he's working hard to get across in front of Sound, Lord Belvedere, and finally gets to a spot. This is where it's sort of, I was looking at this thinking Robson's in a great space here in terms of being able to get onto Persan's back. You knew he was going to run into the race at some point, but it just looked like it was panning out really nicely for us at this stage. I know it was early, but I was pretty hopeful of where we'd finish up. Unfortunately, things stayed pretty much the same from that point up to here to the 1300, and this is where Jamie Carr takes off on Sound and starts to give Shabao a card into the race. Still Prince a card into the race. Shabao on that train as well. Creedence still working pretty hard. Persan in a great spot. Robson, I couldn't believe where he finished up in the straight, given where he was positioned here, and Supergirl still well back at this point. Then we get up towards the 900, and this is where the race shape changes completely for Robson. So if we look at what happens here, Sound and Creedence still going really well, although they've both done their fair share of work. And it's here that if you have a look, Lord Belvedere was never in front of Robson. He had plenty of room to come up and get onto the hindquarters of Persan, but he chooses to come off the rail, and he finishes up just in the ruck here, sitting in behind Lord Belvedere. Has to come across his heels. Shabao and Shed Ambition both have clear galloping air and can start building momentum well before Robson can. Still Prince has done it tough. It's a really good run from him, so I think he's in good shape going forward, but Sound's still wide, still working, and again still dragging them up. Creedence has done a lot of work to this point. If we push forward, actually, and we can see where Supergirl ultimately gets to a reasonably good spot in behind Persan here, but I think that effort to try and make up the ground that we saw from sort of early into the turn where she was good 6 lengths off Persan, that's probably cost her, but I think she runs still really well given the price. Sound gets left out in front pretty early, and for him to stick on to run second is an enormous effort given the work that he did. Creedence just looks like he gets held up here at the top of the straight, and I didn't really think much of it at the time. I thought he might have been starting to fade anyway, but when we watched the last 150, I reckon that's probably cost him the third or fourth. He had to, if we just watch things unfold a little bit here, we'll go back. If you just watch things unfold a little bit here, he's just held up a touch. Robson, I'm not sure what Preble was thinking. He's given up this opportunity here. If he was sitting where Supergirl was, which was the position he could have taken up behind Persan, the finish looks completely different, I think. But he's got to come across heels here. Creedence held up slightly, and if you just watch his finish, he's actually still going pretty strong. He has to duck back to the inside. Persan going super. Supergirl just runs out of steam late, but she's done a really good job to make up that ground. And if you're watching Robson, these two, Shabao and Shed Ambition, had absolutely clear galloping air from the point of the turn, halfway point of the turn. He's had to come across heels, and they finish up, sort of 5-6 off the fence here, and he'll finish off really nicely outside of Lord Belvedere. and I think he's done a really good job in the context. I just would love to have seen what would have happened if he maintained that trail in behind Persan. Good result for us. It sort of limited the damage all up, but I think it probably could have been a much better result if Preble had have kept his nerve and stuck in behind Persan.